The heavy, tropical air of September 1996 in Owerri, Nigeria, did not yet know it was breathing in the stench of its own spiritual decay. For years, a quiet, icy dread had been settling over the town like a fog that refused to lift. Children vanished between the market stalls and their front doors with a frequency that defied logic. Travelers who checked into certain roadside inns were never seen checking out, their luggage found abandoned in dusty corners of transit parks. The police, draped in the khaki of authority, shrugged off the frantic pleas of mothers with a practiced, bureaucratic coldness. A coldness that suggested they knew exactly where those children went and that they were being paid to look the other way. But on the morning of September 19th, the shadows finally moved into the light. Anthony Ikechukwu Okoronkwo, an 11-year-old boy whose eyes held the bright, unclouded hope of a child, stepped out with a tray of boiled groundnuts balanced on his head. He was a familiar sight in the Amakohia district, a small, hard-working figure weaving through the chaos of midday traffic. He didn't know that he had been selected by a syndicate that viewed human life as a raw material. He didn't know that for the men lurking behind the high, fortified walls of the Otokoto Hotel, he wasn't a human being. He was a component. The trap was sprung with a calculated smile. Innocent Ekeanyanwu, a gardener at the hotel who had spent months grooming the local children with small kindnesses and cheap sweets, called Ikechukwu over. The boy followed him past the ornate gates, lured by the promise of a large sale that would make his mother proud. As the heavy iron gates of the Otokoto Hotel swung shut behind him, the sounds of the bustling city were cut off, replaced by a tomb-like silence. Ekeanyanwu led the boy to room 8. This wasn't a standard guest room. It was a laboratory of horror. Forensic investigators would later discover that the room had been specially modified with hidden drainage and waterproof linings beneath the carpet to ensure no trace of blood reached the soil beneath. Ikechukwu was given a drugged drink, likely a soda laced with a powerful sedative, and as the world blurred around him, he was laid upon the floor. What happened next was a crime so systematic it transcended murder. With the boy still unconscious, the gardener performed a ritual harvest. The head was severed with a single clean strike. The liver and heart were removed while the blood was still warm, destined for the dark altars of the city's elite. His genitals were taken to fuel blood money charms. The boy's torso was then shoved into a shallow grave in the hotel's garden, covered with the very flowers Ekeanyanwu was paid to tend. The horror might have remained a secret of room 8 if fate hadn't intervened in the form of a leaking plastic bag. Ekeanyanwu, tasked with delivering the proof of harvest to his master, stuffed the 11-year-old's head into a floral polythene bag and hailed an Okada, a motorcycle taxi. The rider, Hilary Opara, felt a warm, sticky liquid soaking into his shirt. He initially thought his motorcycle's oil line had burst, but when he touched his back and saw the vivid, pulsing red of human blood, a primal instinct took over. He pulled over at a police checkpoint, and when the officers forced the gardener to open the bag, the decapitated head of Ikechukwu fell onto the pavement. his eyes frozen in a final, silent scream. The gardener, realizing the game was up, didn't just confess. He began to unravel a conspiracy that reached the highest echelons of Nigerian power. He spoke of the Black Scorpions, a secret cult of the nouveau riche who believed that human sacrifice was the only currency for everlasting wealth. He named names that made the officers' blood run cold. Chief Vincent Duru, the flamboyant owner of the hotel, and Leonard Unaogu, a man whose brother sat in the inner circle of the military dictator Sani Abacha. When the local IBC television station broadcast the footage of Ekeanyanwu holding the boy's head, the city of Owerri didn't just mourn. It underwent a spiritual explosion. The people had been pushed too far. For 2 days, the city became a battlefield. This wasn't a riot, it was an exorcism. The mob, thousands strong, moved with a list. They didn't just burn the Otokoto Hotel. They used sledgehammers to dismantle it brick by brick, uncovering more shallow graves and septic tanks filled with the skeletal remains of dozens of other disappeared victims. They turned their fury toward the Piano Plaza, a multi-million naira commercial hub owned by Unaogu, reducing it to ash. They dragged luxury Mercedes-Benzes, the ultimate status symbols of the ritualists, into the streets and set them ablaze, watching the leather and gold melt into the asphalt. It was a class war fought with fire, a desperate attempt by the common man to claw back a sense of justice from a system that had sold them for parts. But the big men had a defense mechanism: silence. Within 48 hours of his arrest, innocent Ekeanyanwu, the only man who could testify to the direct involvement of the political elite, was found dead in his high-security cell. The official report said natural causes, but a secret autopsy revealed a stomach full of cyanide. The syndicate had reached inside the iron bars to kill the truth. 9 police officers were later tried for his murder, proving that the Otokoto group didn't just own hotels, they owned the law. The trial that followed was a nightmare of delays and accidental deaths. 2 judges died suddenly before they could deliver a verdict. Files vanished. Witnesses were threatened. Yet, the public rage was so great that the military government had to offer up the Otokoto 6, the lower tier enforcers, including Chief Duru's own son, Obidiozo. On July 31st, 1997, a volley of gunfire at the Owerri shooting range silenced them forever. Obidiozo Duru went to his grave, a chilling display of cult arrogance that suggested he believed death was just another door. To understand the depth of the Otokoto nightmare, one must look into the logic of the ritual. The Black Scorpions didn't just kill for the thrill. They operated on a twisted theology of wealth. They believed in a concept known as destiny theft, the idea that by ending a promising young life, they could harvest that child's future successes and channel them into their own bank accounts. This is why children like Ikechukwu were the primary targets. The artifacts found in Leonard Unaogu's properties, the blood-stained manillas, the ancient slave trade currency, and the shrines decorated with the photographs of unsuspecting citizens showed that this wasn't just a gang, it was a shadow religion. They had turned the city's economic structure into a pyramid of blood, where every luxury car and every multi-story mansion was built on a foundation of human bone. The investigation also revealed a disturbing level of logistical sophistication. The syndicate had collection centers across the state. They used refrigerated containers and specialized chemicals like formaldehyde, which were found in Piano Plaza, to preserve human tissue for transport to high-paying clients in Lagos, Abuja, and even across international borders into Cotonou. This wasn't just a local cult. It was a transnational organ trading network, masked by the incense of occultism. The ledger of clients was the most dangerous piece of evidence in the country. It reportedly contained the names of grand patrons, men who occupied seats in the National Assembly, men who wore the stars of generals on their shoulders, and men who directed the country's economy. Chief Vincent Duru, the patriarch of this horror, played a longer game than his subordinates. While his son was riddled with bullets in 1997, Chief Duru sat in his cell, a lion in winter, using his remaining millions to bribe, delay, and obfuscate. He spent 20 years claiming he was a victim of circumstance, a simple businessman whose employees had gone rogue. But the ghosts of Otokoto wouldn't stay buried. Even as the years passed, the trauma remained so fresh that no one would buy the land where the hotel once stood. It remained a blackened, overgrown scar in the heart of Owerri, a place where locals claimed they could still hear the cries of children when the harmattan winds blew. Chief Duru finally met the hangman in 2016, his death marking the end of a legal saga that had outlived the military regime that protected him. But the true mystery remains: the ledger of clients. During the raid on Leonard Unaugu's office, police found a list of buyers, politicians, military officers, and businessmen who had paid for the organs harvested in Room 8. That list has never been made public. It is whispered that the list was so explosive it could have collapsed the entire Nigerian government. Unaugu himself died in prison in 2001 under a shroud of secrecy, taking those names to the grave. To this day, the people of Owerri look at the vacant, weed-choked lot where the hotel once stood and wonder if the scorpions are still among them, merely hiding behind different names and digital masks. The legacy of Otokoto is a permanent scar on the Nigerian psyche. It is the reason why, in the south, the sight of unexplained wealth is met with a cold, knowing shudder. It created a generational trauma that gave birth to the modern fear of Yahoo Plus, where the digital and the ritual collide. The story of Ikechukwu Okoronkwo is a reminder that when the gap between the powerful and the powerless becomes a chasm, it is filled with the blood of the innocent. But it is also a story of the power of a collective voice. The day a city decided that some things are worth more than gold. As we look into the dark history of the Otokoto Saga, we must ask ourselves, if the ledger was never found, are the clients still out there? Are they still ordering stock from the shadows? Are the walls of room 8 truly gone? Or have they just become invisible? This deep dive is only the beginning. There are secrets still buried in the red earth of Owerri, and we are determined to dig them up. If you feel the chill of these unsolved truths, if you believe that justice should never have a statute of limitations, then you are one of us. We are echoes of the unsolved 001, and we believe that silence is the ultimate crime. Do you believe the big men on that missing ledger are still in power today? Have you ever witnessed wealth so sudden and unexplained it made your skin crawl? We want to hear your theories in the comments. Let's start a conversation that the scorpions can't silence. Your voice is the weapon that keeps the darkness at bay. Don't let the truth go cold. Click that subscribe button right now and join the Echoes of the Unsolved 001 community. Authenticated don't just tell stories. We hunt for the reality behind the rumors. Turn on the notification bell so you are the first to know when we drop our next investigation. We are crossing borders for our next episode, diving into the dark, hidden histories of the African continent to uncover the crimes that shaped our world. From the ritual scandals of the West to the deep, unsolved mysteries of the East and South, we are the voice for those who can no longer speak. Like this video to help us bypass the algorithms and get this story to those who need to hear it. Share this with someone who needs to know that even the most powerful monsters can be brought down by a city that refuses to be afraid. Join us on our journey at Echoes of the Unsolved 001, because some echoes never fade, and some secrets are meant to be shouted from the rooftops. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell now.